Good morning and welcome to A Better World with Julann and Fran. I'm Julann.
And I am Fran, and our special guest today is Erin Wilson, who is an honors graduate of the Hypnosis Motivation Institute, a certified hypnotherapist, and she's embarking on her new journey as a hypnotherapist. Welcome, Erin.
Thank you
Welcome.
so
Thanks for
much.
joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for inviting me. This is really exciting. I've been looking forward to it. This is actually my first time having being on a podcast. So you lead the way and I'll answer any questions you have.
Okay, we'll try to be kind.
I hope so.
Okay, so would you like to talk a little bit about what it is that you're doing to make the world a better place?
Well, yes, I have to say, definitely having gone to being a student from HMI, it alone has really transformed me personally, right? Just learning so much about myself, transformational, amazing changes, being just learning the things that I learned, and then so now knowing that I'm answering the call, I feel like I've been called to do this work, and I am really I want to be a champion and for mainly people who have suffered abuse, specifically narcissistic abuse, or people who are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. So, and just helping people to recognize when they are in the cycle of abuse and how to break that cycle, and also how to heal and rebuild after and during.
Well, that's a wonderful thing to want to do. It seems like more and more often I'm hearing about narcissistic abuse. I'm hearing that word a lot more now than I did in the past. And I'm wondering if you could give our listeners a sort of an idea of how to recognize what a narcissist is.
Okay, well, definitely there are red flags. I mean, everyone can kind of be a, jerk sometime or whatever, but these people are people who usually, I mean, there's different levels of it. It is a continuum, right? Spectrum, however, we hear about the more grandiose, the like very flamboyant narcissist who's it's all me, 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 but that's not always the case. But mostly it's someone who will gaslight, make a person feel as though they are crazy, for feeling the way that they feel. And a lot of people in their life, in their circle, their friends or family are going to stand behind them because they don't see what goes on behind the doors, behind closed doors, right? So these people will also isolate, will just basically
Yeah.
suck your life energy out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And they'll do it systematically, sometimes insidiously. And that's why like a lot of women don't even recognize that they are in this, right? Because they'll make the other person feel as though they are, I'm sorry, my phone. They'll make the other person, they'll break down the other person and make them feel like
Yeah.
they're the ones, they're the problem, you're the problem, it's you, oh, why does everyone else, love me or whatever? And maybe you shouldn't even talk like that, or, just things like that, always belittling. Yeah. But
Yeah. It's
and
terrible.
it can be physically abusive, but a lot of it is very highly psychological and emotional. Yeah. And
It's
having,
terrible.
yes.
Have you
I'm
had,
sorry.
no, have you had experience with it, Julian?
Well, I have a daughter that was in a relationship for a really long time with someone who is he is such a narcissist and everybody thinks he's great, He's tall, he's handsome, he is so abusive. And as her parents, we could see, that the things that he did to her, the psychological abuse, the way he just all the things that you said, the way he put her down, the way he makes her feel like she's crazy to feel this way. They're at the end of this relationship now, and they are, they had a house together, and there's so much going on, but she's so much better because she's not with him. She's emotionally stable now. She is proud of herself again, and I could see the same my girl coming back. You know what I mean? And it's heartbreaking to see because they don't see it when they're in it. And no matter how many times you talk to them, it's, I don't know, I guess they're very powerful narcissists. So I'm
Yes,
glad
they
you're
are.
doing this.
They're master manipulators, you know. They know exactly where, and they'll see someone's weakness, they'll see something sweet and soft about them, and they will twist it on them, you know. And also another thing is, you know, people ask how, you know, this woman is so smart, she's so pretty, she's so amazing. How could she be wrapped up in this, you know? Because it can happen to anybody. The smart is
Anybody.
the most beautiful, right? Because these people, or not women in general, you know, men also, just people get stuck in narcissistic relationships. There can also be a boss, you know, worker
Yeah.
narcissistic relationship, but mainly I want to champion women, you know, and
Nice.
children who are
Mhm.
being abused like this. But yeah, but you'll see women who are brilliant. How could you, you know, how can you let this man do this to you? And I mean, I had being a survivor and an overcomer of several narcissistic relationships, starting from my, you know, my mother, you know, moving up through my adulthood, and finally had broken the cycle, found HMI, finally am on the other side of it, right? And I had lost friends and family even for a little bit. Of course, the true ones came back but they didn't want to hear it anymore. You know, like, how could you let him, how could you keep going back? How can you? And people don't understand it unless they've been there or they have seen, like, literally the cycle of abuse. And it's messy and it's hard to break that cycle, you know, because they get people, they'll get it to where a person is very dependent upon them too. They isolate, you know, and then they break you down. And it's very hard to get away. But if you can, the first thing is recognizing that you are, you know, and still, I mean, I could recognize I was in it, but still kept going back. Maybe this time he'll be different. Maybe this time, you know, maybe this, you know, kind of thing. It's really hard. A big thing is really separating yourself at time, but also really healing. And that comes with hypnotherapy, self work, self care, self love, support system, but also just really, it's a form of addiction even. It's almost, you know, being the person receiving or being the abused. It's almost like a heroin addiction even. It's like, you know, it's bad for you, but you keep going back, right? You
Because you're
know,
always hoping, I think you're
this
just,
time, yes. Right.
even with children who are abused, right?
Mhm.
If there's a child that's abused, it's always the parent that does the abusing that the child is drawn to because they're
Right.
always trying to overcome whatever weakness they perceive themselves to
I
have,
can be
and they
better. I
always
can be
want
better. Yes.
exactly, exactly. It really is. This is a great thing that you're doing. I hope you have so much success with it because there are really a lot of people out there that need this help.
I agree. And, you know, thank you so much for saying that. It's interesting. It's weird because I just happen to have women come lately, you know, since I've started this journey, people have come to me just out of nowhere. Oh, you do hypnotherapy? Can you help me? I need out of this. Like, I already have some women that I'm working with that I wanted to ask one of them if they wanted to come, like, say something today, but she couldn't, her daughter's graduating. But
Oh,
um
nice.
it's been interesting how, you know, the universe, God, whatever you want to call that great energetic thing that we are all part of, has brought people into my force field. And I know that this is what I'm meant to help people with: children, women, men, people, just people who have been victims of this. And a lot of it, it's not a new thing per se. It's just that it's gotten more prevalent in that people are so gratified, like instant gratification with social media and all that, you know, you get that, all your likes, and oh my God. And so the egos have gotten bigger, I guess, if you will. But I mean, narcissism, and I mean, it's been around a long time,
Forever.
you know. And even like back in
Right.
the day when, like, just you just keep quiet, and as long as he's not hitting you, you know, or that kind of thing, right? So
One
it's been kind of
hopes.
a quiet thing. And now people are women victims are finding their voice now, you know, and now they are recognizing, wow, yes, this is not okay, and I can get away, but you have to recognize it first, right? And then step into your power.
Right. I think a large part of the problem is that women who wind up in, well, people who wind up in relationships with narcissists are not narcissists themselves. So you don't
Exactly.
say, oh, that's wrong what they're doing. You're saying, I'm not good enough. You
Right.
know, if only I
Yes.
were better, I could, so I'll make myself better so that this person will love me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And do you find, now you mentioned that it began with your mother in your case. Do you find with most of your clients that there was a relationship in the beginning, like a parent?
I'm going to be honest and say I only have 3 clients that I've worked with, but in the yes, and also with the research that I've done and the things that I have absorbed and read, I've come to understand that that is a pattern. Yes, I mean once because you're conditioned for that sort of thing, or so, for instance, one of the lady that I'm working with, she had a very hard thing happen to her, and the man that she broken away from, and oh, it's so amazing. But anyway, he found her. He swooped on in, found her at a very, very vulnerable time in her life, and he was knight in shining armor, you know, oh, I'm the man, I'll take care of you, you know, you don't ever have to worry about anything ever again. And he really painted himself out to be that way. But then it turns out, and especially now in retrospect, she sees he never really did. He said the words, you know, but then she ended up supporting him financially in every way for 8 years, you know, and then now she's going through a phase now that she is mad at herself. How could I have wasted all these years? How could I have, you know, allowed that? Because, you know, she sees now, but it's like, no. So part of the work that I'm doing with her definitely is letting her know that that is not that her strength, her beauty, her empathy, her sweetness, her kind heart is what they prey upon, but it is also her saving
Superpower.
grace. Yeah,
Right. Our superpower.
exactly. Yeah.
With Megan, well, she's very strong. You know, we moved up here and she was older when we moved up. She was in, you know, middle school or high school, middle school, and she was always strong and confident, but we are kind and we are empathetic and we are considerate of each other. Things that the more I'm the more I live my life, the more I see people aren't like that. They're not, no one no, I shouldn't say no one, but just in my observation, even today at church, they pass the basket. Some people won't even pass the basket. They don't want to be bothered. Like the world has become so closed off, and not everyone, I'm just saying, I find some tendencies of selfishness. Just
Right. Well,
this is my world and I'm in it and I don't care about anybody else. And so we tend to be kind always. And I think some people can see that as a weakness. So they had a great relationship. They have a daughter. She's wonderful. And she was always very strong, but it was slowly but surely. You know what I mean? It was a slow
Oh,
process. It didn't
yes.
happen right away. And it
Mhm.
was, and then we would see and we'd be like, well, you know, he's selfish, thoughtless, those kind of things. And she would just keep doing and doing and, you know, taking everything on. And then finally, she said, you know what? I don't have to put up with this.
Oh, good.
I don't deserve this. And some of his family was more like, oh, what's the big deal? Just keep your mouth shut and keep going. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is
Right.
their whole, um, they have a different family dynamic. It's different.
Well, they
So
foster
everybody's,
that and
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So you
Mhm.
know what? You know, the woman, you're happy, you have a house, you have this, you have this, just keep your mouth shut and keep going.
Mhm.
Why are you making a big deal about it? You have a nice house, yeah, you know what? No one has to put up with something that makes them unhappy, whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? I think we all need to stick up for ourselves and embrace what we want as our true happiness. And this is a hard road to go through to get out the other side to begin a new life. You know what I mean? But it's worth
Oh,
it. And
yes.
it's
It's really hard. And a lot of people can't like they feel like they can't leave because they literally have been made to where they're so dependent upon that person, right? So a lot of people don't, they stay, right? Because now what is my life my life look like without this person? They are my lifeline, right? And so that's
Right.
another thing, is that we have to empower a person to just see that
Build their
you
confidence.
can get away, you
Right.
can do something else, right? And it's become my life's mission that I want people to understand that they don't have to stay in it. You don't
Right.
have to stay in it. If anybody is watching that maybe
Right.
thinks maybe they are in it, this is why, it's not a new thing, like I said, but it is a new thing where we are all coming out and talking about it and saying, hey, you can get out. You don't have to. There are resources. And the first step is recognizing that you are in this cycle. I mean, if you're happy and you're fine with it, then fine. You know what I mean?
Right.
But,
That's all. Right.
but
Exactly.
and that's another thing, is that, like, exactly what you said. They're like, a lot of people on the outside are like, what's your problem? You have a beautiful house. He's so nice. He's so
He's so
funny. He's so
handsome. He's so
handsome. Yeah,
this.
he's got it all, right? They don't
Right.
see what happens behind
You're
closed
so
doors.
ungrateful. You're
Oh,
so
right. Yeah, yes.
selfish.
Yeah, yeah. How dare you? Right. And especially the family, because of, the mama always loves the son, whatever, it's like they don't, or
Yeah.
the best friends of years. You can't tell some people, right? And then even your own friends can do that, right? Be like, what? No, no, no. And no relationship is ever perfect, kind of thing,
No.
right? No one's ever
Right.
perfect. It's like, no, you don't understand. It doesn't, it hurts more to the core to be emotionally and psychically abused than physically. I mean, obviously it all hurts, but
Right.
that will
There's no signs. No one is
there's
going to
no
see your black
scarring.
eye and
Yes,
say, "Oh my
right.
God,
And
let
then
me
it
help
just
you."
makes, and then there's
Right.
the epitome of gaslighting, where it came from a play back in the day, where the main character, the man, was like, he would turn the gaslight on outside and then tell his wife, no, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. And so she literally went insane. That's where the term comes from, because he'd be like, no, 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 that didn't happen. Right. So, like, for instance, if a person is abusing another person, psychologically, they'll say something really, really rude, right? And then, like, be like, how could you say something like, you just told me that I never said that? You're crazy. Like, they'll literally say that they didn't say what they just said,
Right.
right? You
Yes,
know?
they get you to doubt yourself.
Exactly
You
right.
Absolutely.
know who you are, you know what you like, you know what feels right. And that's why I think one of the most important things for a person who's been with a narcissist in any type of relationship is to trust your intuition and to heed red flags. Because Julianne, I don't know if your daughter was saying, all along the way I was having these thoughts, or I would say to myself this thing or something like that. But you do, when you're with a narcissistic person, you say, no, wait a second, that
Hmm.
doesn't feel right,
Right.
And
Right.
you get
Exactly.
to a point where you say, I don't deserve this. And the beginning of
That's
your
the
rebirth.
Yes,
Yes,
that's the
yeah,
moment.
yeah.
Even with our granddaughter, I want her to know, don't let anyone dim your light. If you get that feeling,
Yes.
if you have a feeling, listen, you have to be respectful. You're young, but you can trust yourself. We talk. I mean, even when my children were younger, I always talked about that feeling you get when something's not right. I mean, how many times have we heard about abuse of children, whether it's a priest or a teacher or a Boy Scout leader or a Girl Scout, whatever. You have that feeling. You get that feeling. If you ever get that feeling, take yourself out of it. So in this situation, when you're treated like that, you know what I mean? She's young, but be who you are. Don't let anybody dim your light. It's okay to be who you are. Be respectful, but be proud of who you are and defend yourself. And you know what I mean? Don't
100%.
I don't want there to be a cycle of that. You know what I
That's
mean?
another thing too, is that these narcissistic people, they see this light and this beauty in people, and they want to destroy it, basically. They're jealous of it, they don't have it, and they want to suck it away from you. Literally, like, you hear the emotional vampire thingy or whatever it is. So when I was my very last, I have a tattoo on my arm that says never again on my bicep, right?
Oh,
Like,
good for
never
you.
again. But anyway, she's like, he sees your fairy wings and your angel wings. He's ripping them off of you, like, they want to suck it away from you, because they don't have that kind of joy, that kind of sparkle, that kind of
Exactly.
love, that kind of empathy, and they want to destroy it. basically. And it's not even conscious per se in that person. Sometimes they're not, but a lot of them are calculating. A lot of them are looking specifically for that lady at the bar who's, crying about, or whatever, you know what I mean? Or
Right.
what have you. A lot of them are predators, but then a lot of them don't even realize that they're doing it, which is
Right.
also
It's
very
probably the
dangerous.
vicious
That's the
cycle
goer,
from how they
Yeah.
were brought into the world. Even in business, I found that if being kind or having a good heart and trying to work things out for your people was
Mm,
frowned upon because I was told, you put your people, you care more about the people than you do about the business. No, if you care about the people, then the people care about the business. And you can be kind, and that doesn't mean you're weak. You know what I
right.
mean? And just in general, kindness is not, it's an attribute. It's something that's great. You should be proud of it and embrace it. And that's another thing I don't think we teach at a young age anymore, kindness. And now everything's about, listen, Johnny, you're important. If, you have to make sure you interrupt the teacher or get what you need but, I don't think there's any, I think we're failing as a society. We just walk all over each other. No one lets anybody go. I think we need to start at the
Even
beginning and
driving, right? Or in the grocery store. It's like,
anything. Church today, I just was amazed that just little thing. Nobody's asking you to make a donation or to do anything extravagant. Just say, God bless you. Excuse me.
mhm.
I don't know, hold the door or pick something up.
Right?
Just so many
Yeah.
little things that we could do to make the world a better place. Each and
And
every
I,
one of us.
I think that we are breeding more narcissists too,
Mm.
because of this me, this instant gratification, this thing. I think that a lot of but that being said, I can see this younger generation. So my daughter is 19. She's gone off to college and she's majoring in ecology, right? So she's very, very empathetic and very all about the earth and the planet and kindness, and she's vegan, that kind of thing. And so maybe I'm spoiled in seeing her circle and her people that gives me hope for humanity also. But then you turn on TikTok or one of these other thingies and it's like, oh my God, what is happening to the Instagram? Like a lot of very young people are very, very, very materialistic, very self-absorbed.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that concerns me. Yeah.
And I think we
Well,
need to have a leave your phone home day or,
oh, that's a great idea.
just talk to your, right. Don't just play, go outside and play and have some
Oh
fun.
my
And
gosh, right? That's so important. And yes, and again, just put the phone down, and sit down and have dinner together at the dinner table, like have
Mhm.
time, human being time, because and especially when the pandemic happened, people just got very, very sucked into virtual world. Here we are. I mean,
Right.
a lot of really good things came of us being able to do Zoom and things, but it
Yeah.
also has facilitated people not connecting in person.
Right.
It's
And not being present. Be present.
right. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Because there's so much you miss when you're not paying attention, when you're running. I mean, how many times you were on your way to do something and you got sidetracked so many, and then you're like, what was I doing? We do that in life, we're walking around, we don't look at the trees, we don't take a minute out just to see the beauty in things. We're rushing to the store, we're rushing home, and we're rushing to work, and we just need to take a breath and spend a
That's
little
where
time every day. Yeah, being
mindfulness is a good practice. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
mindfulness is a great antidote for stress. And it's a
Hmm.
great preemptive way, there's a great way to avoid stress is just to pay attention to what you're doing now. I am safe now. I'm doing this now. This is what's happening now. And I don't have to worry yet about the future. The future will come. But what you were saying earlier about your concern that, the different generations and whether we're raising a better one or one that's more consumed with materialism, things go in cycles, I believe. And I think, at this point, not to get political, but we have an administration that says things like empathy is the problem. We're not going to the younger people are going to hear that and they're going to say, no, no, we don't like this, because because younger people tend to think they know the better way to do things. So if we've got,
Of course.
examples, if we've got examples in the White House of people being cruel, they're going to see that and they're going to know that that's not the way that they want the world to continue. So I believe things will get better. And if,
Agree.
do
let's
too.
manifest it anyway.
Oh, well,
Yes, I
and I
agree.
100, I mean,
Every
it can't
day.
be any other way. This is driving me crazy, by the way. Like
Don't worry about
there we
it.
go. Okay, anyway. Yeah, so like I was saying, I'm like I do see a lot of hope in the younger
I do too.
our kids, and they're picking up on, on the yucky stuff. And I do believe I'm a spiritual person, and I do believe that that it's gonna be okay. It
It
is,
is.
I have faith, but at this very moment, people, okay, so I'm 45, right? So people my age, this is where you're seeing a lot of, and then like maybe within like 10 years older than myself, uh, that's where a lot of the narcissistic stuff is happening. And I don't know why or how, but that is really where I'm seeing a lot of it. People my age, men a little older than myself, women my age who have been enduring this. So hopefully, I mean, I can't speak for the younger generation. All I know is that there is, there's that all that TikTok stuff, but I think that they're gonna get through that. That's a phase, right? But now, it's just really is people in the mid-age, right, in their middle-aged right now, for whatever reason that is, but we've seen a lot change within our lifetimes, right? So
Mhm.
who's to say? But yeah, it is
Well,
it is a lot more. And again, like you said, it's a very big topic lately, but it's not new, or is it? But I mean, I guess like, the businessman who, makes sure that you're pretty and that the house is nice when I get home and dinner's on the table and everything, and the kids are perfect. Who knows? Maybe that was also a thing, but I don't know. I don't want to speak, about things I don't know about, right? But I can just, it can't be new, right?
no, you're definitely right. I don't think it's new. I think the recognition is new. I think,
Mm.
in the past, women were much more reliant on men, especially in a marital situation. I mean, it was like a woman kind of, there was a time within within our lifetime, Jewel, that
Yeah.
women couldn't get credit cards in their own name
Yeah.
That's crazy.
without a
That's right.
husband's signature. We couldn't get, bank
Well,
accounts
because
or,
they stayed home and they didn't have
right.
a job,
That's
so they
right.
weren't
Oh,
able. They had
yes.
no.
That wasn't until
Yeah.
like the late 70s or something, right? When
So
Mhm.
around there, yeah. So I think the women's movement has helped a lot in bringing it to the fore, allowing us to recognize what narcissism is. And that's why we're hearing a little bit more. And that's why you mentioned that age group. I think sometimes parents try to raise their children in the opposite way that they were raised because they don't think that they were raised correctly. So, if a parent was raised in, say, a strict environment where they were taught manners and, things like that, maybe they're a little softer on their kids and they teach the kids it. Because from what I understand, there was at least a time, I don't know if this is happening, when, in my generation, in order to win an award, you had to do something, you had to win out over
You
anyone
had to be
else.
great.
But
oh
then
yes, yeah.
in the children, or maybe the grandchildren of people my age, it was more like, well, you came to the game, here's your award,
Yes, that
Exactly.
started happening with my daughter. And it's no, you have to, and
Yeah.
it's okay to not be first. It's okay
Did
to
you do your
lose.
best? Do your
Yeah.
best. You don't
Yes. Do you?
always win,
And there
but
is always that one, like the showing up, but you don't get not everyone gets the blue ribbon, and then that does breed also, that's a good point. That does breed a lot of self, I don't know, just entitlement that maybe isn't quite when they get out in the real world and really have to compete per se with people who might be a little bit better or more adept in a certain field. They don't know because they were told how perfect
how
they
great
are,
they are.
right? And
But you know what?
it's okay to
Whatever you
it's okay
love,
to not be great. And it's okay to get third, or it's okay to be last,
but if
and
you
that's a
want to
good
be
life
great,
lesson.
practice.
Right,
If you want to
exactly.
be a great
Yes.
gymnast or you want to run fast, well, again, you
Mhm.
know what? You can, if there's something you want to do, like play the guitar, the piano,
Learn it.
go for a lesson. You
If
know
you want
what?
to be
Put
an
the work
academic,
in.
yes.
And I think what we've definitely all agreed on today is that life is about compromise. maybe the strict parent didn't get it all right and the lenient parent doesn't get it all right. But if we just try to have the greater good, you know what I mean? Try to
Absolutely.
raise well-rounded people, try to be well-rounded people, and when we make a mistake, say, hey, you know what? I made a mistake today.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I yelled at you, or I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like, just try to be better every day.
Yep.
Whatever your situation, however old you are, whatever you're, you know, be aware and try to be better.
100%. And that's another thing that you bring up, Julianne, is that I know certain people in my age group, we all started having children around the same time, and this is when like tablets came out, iPads and things, and they would that was the babysitter, you know. Just give them the iPad, and then that's fine, right? And then they'll just play their games and they'll watch the thing, you know, instead of actually engaging with the children. I think
Coloring
that is
or
kind of part of where some disconnect can occur, right? Yes, but yeah, so yeah, compassion, definitely, but also awareness, you know,
compromise.
and stepping into your empowerment, and then again, that's where hypnotherapy comes into play, is being able to kind of I hate to use the word program because people get scared about that, but to reprogram yourself when you are in that cycle of abuse and you are being programmed one way, you know, to accept and just, okay, this is what it is, but I know I don't like it, but I don't know how to get out, just like anything else, smoking cigarettes, you know, all of those things. Hypnotherapy can help break that cycle and help you find that power within yourself. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That's the perfect way to say it. Find the
Yes.
power within yourself. So, Erin, when people have watched this and they want to get in touch with you, how did they do that?
Yes, thank you. So my website is www.ew-hypnotherapy.com, ew-hypnotherapy.com, for you know, the minus sign, not the slash.
Okay.
I've had people be like, wait, what dash? What's dash? Yeah, ew-hypnotherapy.com. So yeah, and then also my phone number is easy to remember if you want, 442-222-9232.
Oh, a lot of twos in there. Well, bless
I know,
you.
and I was born on 4/2 at 222. Isn't that weird?
Wow. Yeah, that's
Oh,
great.
They randomly gave me that number when I started my practice. Yeah. So
Or
that was
not randomly.
serendipitous.
that's great. That's wonderful. Okay. Well, bless you both for the way that you've raised your children. I mean, you
Sweet.
both have made the world a better place just in that one thing that you did. So bless you both. And bless you for what you're doing,
Great.
Erin. And bless you, Julann, for what you're doing. You're both
And bless you too, Fran, for getting
Bless
us all
you, Fran and
together.
Julann. Yes, you're making the world a better place. I've watched the
Perfect.
episodes and I
Oh,
like
thank
it.
you so
So
much.
thank you. You're lovely ladies, and I appreciate you inviting me today.
We
We're
have
happy to
loved
have you.
having
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, so this has been another episode of A Better World with Julann and Fran with our guest, Erin Wilson. And please feel free to like and share this video as far and as wide as you'd like. All right, so signing off for now. Let's see, how do I do this? Oh, there we go. We